So you think Britain is a much more tolerant country than India in this respect?
Yeah, I'd say so, yes.
Okay, Kulvinder, stay with us. Sanjay's on the line in Leicester. Sanjay, good morning.
Morning.
So what do you have to say?
Yeah. I want to say that as Asians, I don't feel like there's prejudice towards anyone. I like all Asians, Chinese, Japanese, Koreans, everyone around the world. Not one bit of prejudice. I think the separation comes from religious prejudice than it does race and Asians, if you know what I mean.
Right. So
yeah.
do you, I mean, look, we've spoke many times before. You don't like Muslims very much, do you?
I don't like Muslims, and I certainly don't like Islam. I feel like it's intolerant ideology from Saudi Arabia, which has caused nothing but pain for 1,400 years to all the non-believers around the world, which is a fact.
Okay, all right, okay. Sanjay, look, Sanjay, what about, why do you, so you wouldn't have any Muslim friends?
I did have a few, but over the years I noticed that even when I spoke to them about things that Muslims are doing wrong, they just completely want to defend it all the time. Muslims never admit.
What about things Hindus have done wrong?
What do Hindus do wrong? All they do is react to all the things Muslims do. Gujarat riots, Hindus reacted. Everything Hindus react. I mean,
so what about caste-based violence in the Hindu community?
Yeah, I notice Muslims and the BBC use a lot of that. That's an internal issue within Hinduism, and it's got nothing to do with no one. As long as Hindus are not going around the world.
So Hindus have not been responsible for killing Muslims in India who have been falsely accused of killing cows, for instance. That's never happened, has it?
How many times has that happened?
Well, it doesn't matter how many times it's happened. The fact is that the fact that it's happened at all, do you condemn it?
I condemn it, but the thing is, it's happened once or twice. But only
so more than once or twice.
I've sent you loads of links on Twitter about.
No one cares about you on Twitter. You're a troll on Twitter, Sanjay.
Whatever you want to. Yeah, am I going to speak now? Because you're going to cut me off now, or what are you going to do? This is really unfair, isn't it? Right now, if you want to say something, say it. All I'm saying, I sent you links about Rohingya Muslims killing 100 Hindus, and not one BBC have not not even once have they spoken about it.
So do you think the ethnic cleansing of Rohingyas is justified?
If Muslims are intolerant, this is a good example that all other countries should be taking. Go to the nearest Muslim, there's 60
So they should be ethnic cleansed.
But there's 60 Muslim countries. Why do you
sorry, I just want to be clear. Do you think that, because you're effectively saying that you think that Rohingya men, women and children should be ethnically cleansed from Burma?
Yes, to the nearest Muslim country without killing them. Yes, yeah, absolutely. This is a.
So you believe in ethnic cleansing? So Sanjay, Sanjay, to be okay, Kulvinder, would you like to say anything to Sanjay? You've just heard him speak.
I would. I'd really actually applaud for him coming out and saying it openly. It has happened that in history there have been two major sweeping victories in India. Once when Rajiv Gandhi did ethnic cleansing in '84, and then after that, once when Modi did it in 2002. The whole India supports it, and thank you very much, Sanjay, for coming out in public and saying it. That yes, there are a lot of people like you who hide it behind the votes and do it, but you have come out in openly, so I applaud you for it. But yes, this is what the reality is. India
and people say, and then people say, why am I anti-Islam? Because Islam is anti-everyone else.
I don't say that I agree with you. I completely hate your idea.
Obviously
you are open. Yeah. You are saying this openly, whereas everyone else supports this very bad idea publicly by voting for it and hiding behind votes. It shouldn't happen. For someone who killed Prime Minister, he was responsible, not 30,000 Sikhs. For someone who might have done Godra, they might have been responsible, not thousands of Muslims.
In 1984, who started it off, though? Here he is. We're always talking about Hindus' reaction. Of course it was wrong what Hindus did to Sikhs. Of course. I'm completely against that. So is all the Hindus around the world. But why do people not ever think about and talk about what Sikhs started off? Or no? Let's not talk about that.
So Kulvinder, I mean, and look, to be fair, Sanjay is a bit of an extremist. Anyone that follows him on Twitter will see. In fact, no one follows him on Twitter, to be honest.
I don't like Twitter. I only go on just to send you Muslim lovers a message because you wind me up all the time. That's why I hate Twitter. I don't even like it.
So there you go. That's Sanjay from Leicester. Goodbye, Sanjay. The reason that we brought Sanjay on, he's been calling this show for many years, and he always does that, essentially. But the reason that we brought him on, and Kulvinder, I think you highlighted that, was because I don't know. I just like to think what fellow Hindus think of Sanjay. You know, you listening to the BBC Asian Network, you've just heard a Hindu say that as far as he's concerned, the ethnic cleansing of Rohingyas in Burma is fully justified. I know lots of Hindus who are very open-minded, generous of spirit, generous of love and compassion, and not like Sanjay at all. If you've been listening to this show for some time, you will know about Sanjay. He's the guy who cannot ever pass up an opportunity to ring up and tell us his views about Muslims. How does that make you feel as a Hindu, hearing a fellow Hindu said that? If a Muslim rang up and said that about non-Muslims, in fact, I've had that before where someone has called in this show and said, my faith of Islam tells me that I should not be friends with Jews, Christians, or anyone of any other religion. And lots of Muslims got in contact to say that's not true and that's outrageous. I just wonder, if you're a Hindu listening to BBC Asian Network, how you feel about what Sanjay said. Perhaps you agree with them, and perhaps you're brave enough to actually pick the phone up. In some weird way, he is brave enough to actually ring up and say on a very public forum how he feels about Muslims. Do you think that he is someone who is unique in his views, or do you think that that is a view that actually most people, well, not most, but there's more than just one person who feels that way about Muslims from within the Asian communities and doesn't wish to be public about it? It's just said behind closed doors at family gatherings in the corner of rooms. Tamana, good morning.
Good morning, how are you?
Oh, good. I'm sure you heard what Sanjay had to say. How did that make you feel?
Made me feel quite awkward, really. I didn't really expect it, but at the same time, I was not surprised, because obviously that kind of view is obviously around, and there are a lot of people that hold that view, they don't say anything. So I think in one sense it's very brave of them to say that, but in one sense I just think it's a real shame that he feels like that, and it's a real shame that he's not friends with his Muslim friends anymore. So yeah.
Do you think it's getting better? Because you, as a younger generation, Adam, you have the power, you and your friends have the power to change the world.
Totally, but sadly it's not getting any better, because present company excluded, I do think this whole perpetuation of the right wing, this whole Brexit agenda, it's giving, unfortunately, less informed people legitimacy in their arguments towards other races and religions, whether that's Islamophobia or, the gentleman on earlier, Sanjay, who's totally anti-Muslim. I'm not sure if he's Hindu or Muslim. What was he?
He's Hindu. He was Hindu.
He was Hindu.
Yeah.
Okay. Personally, I've experienced a lot of Sikh prejudice against Muslims and Pakistanis, and vice versa. I've never really experienced Hindu prejudice to such a degree like that, but that's surprising to see. But I think all of that perpetuate people like him, and the prejudices that sadly are coming far more openly to the surface now. And it's sad to see that, countries that are supposed to be so close, and people who originally shared the same land and probably, same villages, they've all become so divided. It's very sad to see, and I think, sadly, that's on the rise here as well.
Okay, Adam, good to speak to you as always. Thank you for joining us. Rab is on the line. Rab Khan. Good morning, Rab.
Hello there. Good morning, Nihal.
You heard Sanjay, presumably. Do you know what though, Rab? It's easy to dismiss anyone. It's in the same way it's easy to dismiss. I'm sure you've seen Anjem Chowdhury talk and you've thought, "Oh, what a moron," and try and dismiss him. Exactly, but these people. Yeah. They have power over other people, or certainly they're willing, as Kulvinder, the Sikh who called in, he said, at least he's brave enough to come and say it. The worst thing, Rab, isn't it, is when you just don't know what people are really thinking about you.
Very true, very true. But I think that, I'll be honest with you, things like what Sanjay, for example, comes on and says, I believe he's gone through some kind of, bad experience in his life, where maybe his wife, his daughter. Well,
look, Rab, I don't think without him being here, I don't think it's important. I don't think it's helpful to speculate on that.
No, to have that much hatred, something in your life must have happened so bad in order to hate him. Because I've had issues with different colour people, but I don't label everybody the same. But one thing I've noticed about Sanjay, he's just like, Islamophobic. And maybe he's got his reason. Maybe something has happened in his life that's so bad that he just hated everybody for it, or hated every Muslim from that moment on.
But Rab,
I don't believe that he's a politician and that he's speaking for the whole of the community, or he's representing
well, he's not.
the whole of Hindus.
You didn't frankly have the balls to put country before party.